Hello everyone and welcome back to the world's easiest Miro crash course in 2026. I'm so happy to be bringing this to you guys. Our first official crash course in 2026 and it's all about Miro. Alright, so this is what Miro's dashboard looks like. It's extremely simple. The very first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a blank board. I don't want you to think about this in terms of anything complex. This is the simplest tool in the world. Just go ahead, click plus, blank board. We're going to do this really easily. By the end of this video, we'll have not just learned everything there is to learn about Miro, we'll also have created an actual real life working flow for a social media site with the wireframes, with the thinking, with everything we need to do before actually getting started with a real social media site design project. So those are the goals for today. Let's just get started. This is what it looks like when you're inside of Miro. It's a very clean, simple interface. Nothing to worry about, nothing scary at all. You're going to go over here. This is the most important sidebar in this entire UI. We're going to cover every feature that we have here, but we'll cover this one first because it is the most daunting to beginners. So the very first button here is Sidekicks. Sidekicks is Miro's AI feature helper, so you can kind of tell it what to do and it kind of does that for you. It is AI backed and it does let you generate a lot of stuff first, and I don't want you to be too scared about it because almost all AI features are extremely user friendly no matter what software you're working with really. So I'm just going to close this out now and we're going to go over here and talk about all of the different features that are present. We'll use this Sidekicks feature when we start designing our actual interface for the social media site, but until we do that, let's just talk about the main features, the heavy meat of Miro. This is the normal pointer tool. You can just point to stuff here and it's just the most common pointer tool in the whole wide world. This next tool is the templates tool. So over here you can look at all of the different templates Miro Playground already offers you. Miro has a bunch of templates including specific templates for meetings and workshops. So it lets you have these charts and diagrams to specific things you do in a meeting. For example, pinpointing project starting points, gathering research, developing solutions, ideation and brainstorming, like thinking your way through any new problem, researching, design, agile workflow, strategy planning, diagram mapping, literally every thinking process that you could think about. Miro does offer solutions here because Miro is a thinking tool, you guys, and it gives you literally every single kind of tool you'd need to start thinking. It also has a bunch of really cool options for designers in terms of wireframing and prototyping, and I want us to look into one of these templates later, but I kind of also want us to get familiar with all of the tools first. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a simple hotel app template from right here, and it's a really good starting point. You don't need to have it, but it's just going to give you a little bit of familiarity with what Miro actually looks like. So I just want you to open the hotel app template and just have it open here. You don't need to think about all of these different weird arrows right now. I know some of it looks extremely daunting. It is daunting if you're a beginner, honestly, and it's just not something you need to worry about right now. So we have a template. We figured out how to open a template, put it here, extremely simple stuff. Alright, the next thing we need to do is sticky notes. You can have sticky notes here. So you can put in a new note and have it say, "This is scary. Ooh, Miro." So just any of your thoughts. You can add notes in any color you'd like. Say something about, "I never made a wireframe before." Or you can have actual design related tiny little notes. For example, you'd want to change the button's color for some reason. You could do that with really simple notes. Change button color. And I'm being extremely generous with the kind of notes I'm leaving behind because I want you to see whenever you think of a new thing to do, whenever there's a tiny little detail that you'll think you'll miss, whenever there's this little thing that came to your mind that needs to be a part of this project, but you kind of don't want to keep thinking about it because there's more to think about. I know what it feels like to be in the middle of mental overwhelm, and this sticky note is the best, easiest thing in your whole life now. You need to be extremely familiar with using these. You're going to be using these all the time. You can switch the type of this note. You can change its shape. I'm just going to keep it to a simple note shape because who doesn't like a simple note? You can change the font to also be a handwritten style. You can change the font size to be whatever you like. You can make it bold, italicized, underlined, or strike through. So you can select this text, make it underlined if you'd like, or change it to a sans serif, make it bold, do whatever you'd like with it. You can align it differently. You can align it to the left, right. You can even align it vertically. For example, you can align it to the top, align it to the center, align it to the bottom. You can do all of the simple little alignment things you would want with it. Best thing with Miro is it gives you extreme control with how you're going to be positioning your notes and how you're going to be positioning all of the thinking things here. You can add a link. So for example, if this is coming from change the button color to the color of this site. So let's say there was a URL, let's call it Google. So Google is your competitor. Let's just do that hypothetical for a second. And they have the kind of buttons that you would like to copy. just anything UI design related. You can add a note, add a link, and this is going to be your internal file. So you can quickly go back and now refer to the site. You're going to click on this link now. And when you open this link, the link that is inside of this, so I'm just not clicking it right now, but if you clicked on this link, it would take you to Google and you would quickly be able to see the simple little thing out of the other site that you were linking really cleanly inside of Miro, inside of this little note that we've added. You can also change this to be a medium-sized note, a large-sized note, or a small note. You can change the color of the note, of course. This is my favorite in the whole wide world. I just love changing the color of things. You can add the author if you'd like. Sometimes Miro is a really teamwork kind of tool, and if you have 10 different people on the team, it helps when you have the name of the creator here, gives you a little bit of credit, a little bit of that fancy who did the work credit so that you can be appreciated later. You can add a tag. For example, let's just call this buttons, and this is going to be tagged with buttons, which means every single thing that is related to buttons, changing the buttons colors, changing the buttons links, changing something else about the buttons, can be inside of this tag. So you'll be able to find out all of the notes that have the buttons tag. So for example, if you have this one with the tag of buttons and this one with another tag, you would be able to tell when designing buttons, you'd be able to go to all of the different sticky notes that were tagged with buttons. For example, one is present over here, you could copy and paste it, and you have another that's talking about the buttons present right here. And now, even if you have 100 different notes, when you actually start designing stuff and you actually want to think about buttons when you're actually in the middle of designing your real buttons, you can just go to the sticky notes, search for all of the ones that are tagged with buttons. You'll be able to quickly find out all of the different things you need to do with buttons at once. That's why tags are super duper useful. I want to go back to our tags now. This is the buttons tag, and you can obviously keep it. You can even change its color. Say done. Let's add the buttons tag over here. Let's change the color of the note so that you can see the tag better too. This is super duper fun to do, you guys. You can add an emoji. This is by far one of the most fun things I love to do all the time. So if I like something, I can react to it with an emoji. You can do a thumbs up, fire, heart, all of the basic emoji reacts that almost all social platforms let you do these days. You can lock this note. So for example, if I'm just confident with this and I don't want to shift it around even as I move different elements, so elements can move now but not this note because I'm really sturdy with this note now, you can lock it in place, unlock it if you need to, lock it in place, and that's going to be it for your main sticky note features. And this kind of stays in place without getting dragged to the left and the right. And that was all about the basic sticky note features. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the text. Go over here, click T, and you're going to get the option to have text. You can basically add any piece of text you'd like. Let's just type out text to type. You can type out anything you'd want here. You can change the font family, change the font size, make it bold, italicized, or underlined, change its alignment, make it a bullet list, a numbered list, add or decrease the indentation if you're in the middle of a bigger list, add a link inside here, so you can add the link of Google or any other link, and you can basically add that link in here too. That's also a fun thing to do. You can highlight some text, so you can select a little bit of this text, highlight it to a yellow, and this is going to be highlighted now, so I can immediately see this. You can change the color and the opacity. So for example, right now, what we've got as white, we can change to a green color in the background. The opacity can also be changed to a lighter shade of green if we'd like. Extremely simple text stuff. You can add comments if you'd like. So for example, we've added a huge note. You can add a comment that suggests a minor tweak if you're not the person who's making this, or you want to suggest anything that's kind of additional. So for example, if my colleague did this entire text box right here and I just wanted to add a minor tweak, suggest it, I could do that over here with the comments feature. You can lock this in place if you're done, or you could use Miro AI to enhance it with using its AI features. And that's all about text. Alright, now I want to talk about shapes. All of the basic shapes that you could want for a flowchart are present here. Let's just go back, and you can basically use all of the shapes you could need. For example, a rounded rectangle, a plain rectangle, a circle, a diamond, a star, triangle, any shape that you could possibly want to create diagrams. These are all of the different shapes you have present inside of Miro. You can have more shapes too. Miro has an entire library of shapes because Miro is all about thinking, and sometimes shapes really help with that. If you're a database kind of person, if you're a programmer, Miro is extremely good for you too, because sometimes you're using AWS as the database for your programming, and it helps you think about the different database structures using AWS's inner logos used internally over here without having to do anything. I can even upload a custom SVG file and have that be another repetitive shape that I can drag and use repetitively every single time I want to. And these are just more shapes you can add. I know these look fancy, but these are all shapes you would use for specific software if you were working with specific software. So for example, if you were a programmer in the middle of this project and you were using a Kubernetes based system, you could have the Kubernetes built-in features. And it's just complicated jargon boiled down to simple logos, so you can kind of get started thinking. And right now we don't need to worry about all of these. If you need to create any basic user flow, screen number 1 goes to screen number 2, you can have all of your different arrows. You can apply colors if you like. You can basically have colors in as many shapes and sizes as you want. You can change the color, you can change the text, you can change any of it to anything, and it just works. And all of this is extremely simple to use in practice. You can add shapes, change the font families, change their size, make them bold, italicized, underlined, align it differently. You can change the color of the text. The color changes here. You can change the outer stroke. So this is basically for the outer stroke. There's an outer stroke present in this shape, and you can change the color using this here. You can change the inner color to add a link if you want. Change the text color once again. Highlight some text if you like. So this is normal text. Select the edge, highlight it if you want to. Use Miro AI to create a more detailed document, fix grammar and spelling, shorten text, or just use all of the basic AI based features if you want to. And that's just really simple addition of text and shapes, and you can create anything you'd want to with this. You can also create freehand drawings using Miro, and this is my favorite tool in the whole wide world inside of Miro, because sometimes you're doing a whole new project and you've thought about an idea and you just quickly need to get it out from your head inside of a sheet, and this really helps us with that. So just go inside of here, create a new shape using the pen tool. You can even highlight some things if you like. So for example, if I have the idea to create a new social media app, I can quickly do that and just have a lot of freehand access into whatever I'm thinking of designing first. So let's say I want to create a social media app that is a Tinder for dogs. I can just create the different flows that I'm kind of thinking about in my head, and this is going to be a rough draft, but Miro is about thinking, and rough drafts are a part of thinking, and it's completely fine. I can have a couple of buttons in here, have a heart, have a reject button, swipe left, swipe right, and this is going to be the feature where your dog's photo is shown. You can even add stickers and emojis, so I'm just going to go over here directly, and you can add GIFs if you'd like. I'm going to show all of the GIFs that I have. Let's get a simple dog right here, just for thinking purposes. And I'm going to just drag this guy, make it bigger. This is going to be the dog. This is why FigJam is comparatively worse compared to Miro, because you don't get the option to add all of these GIFs and emojis and things you're thinking about internally. So all of the different buttons that I'd like to have, I can kind of add a rough draft of them using emojis. Let's just search for heart. You can add a heart button here. You can add a cross as well. Yes, no, right, wrong, love him, hate them kind of features that you could want to have possibly with an app like Tinder. You can quickly find using emojis right here. I'm just adding a couple of options so that you can quickly verify what kind of a dog this is going to be. So you can have love this, kind of okay, don't like it, completely hate it. And these are the different features I'm thinking of offering inside of my pet Tinder app. You can even have a custom frame. So right now, what I had sketched out as a rough diagram can actually be made into a real file. We can just get this inside of a frame super duper quickly. Check this out, you guys. A frame holds everything inside of it as a full container, and now the rough drawing that I had is now converted into this new screen. So this frame has now actually become a screen, and this is my rough first prototype for my screen number 1. This is the main screen that we're going to be using inside of our Tinder, and you just saw how quickly I went from drawing a rough shape, a rough scribble, to getting my entire screen prototyped out. I feel like this was the quickest thing you could ever have done, and we've basically made our Tinder for dogs sketched out in like 5 seconds. I absolutely love how quickly this happened. This is the actual power of Miro. This is why Miro is so important to me, to my workflow as a UI UX designer. You just saw how quickly this happened, right? I'm not the only person who's freaking out over how easy, accessible, incredible to use Miro actually is. And now if I want, I can take this screen, I can literally convert it into slides if I want to. I can copy this as an image or export it as an image. I can take this image to Figma, put this right here inside of my Figma file, and literally design on top of this. So you actually see that I did all of my thinking right here. And when I take this image into Figma, my design process will be so much quicker, so much easier, so much simpler. You can even add comments. So for example, So if a logo is missing, I can just go to the comments and I can add logo is missing and I can just post it as we would. I can even change the color of the point of my comment. You can even add extra tools and external essentials and media integrations. Let's just walk through a couple of these really quickly. You can add prototypes inside of this file. You can add diagrams inside of this file. You can add tables, timelines, Kanban boards for when you have got a lot of workflows going. You can add documents, slides, whatever you'd want to. You also have a couple of really basic essential tools for any thinking project at all in the world of tech. The pen tool to create kind of freehand drawings. You've got your sticky notes to create completely easy to use sticky notes. You can add cards. So for example, I can say Tinder for dogs. This is my first card, and we can give this an estimate of the budget. We can give this a different color if we'd like, and we can have the status change to do, to in progress, to whatever is happening. And this makes my whole thing very concrete. I can set the project to have an assigned budget to. I can give this an estimate. I can give this a start date. I can give it an end date. You literally see how easy it was to make it concrete. I can add a new tag, app. And this is going to be my solid app. So this is going to have the entire details of the app present as opposed to the other button tag which we had, which is only about specific buttons. This is my tag for apps. So this is for the concrete, heavy duty app stuff for the whole app, if that makes sense. I can even add a huge description if I like of everything that I need to do. I can create to-do lists inside of here. So for example, task 1, take this wireframe to Figma, design Figma prototype, developer handoff, code the app, put it on the App Store and the Play Store. So this is all of the things that we kind of have to do. A rough to-do list, a basic to-do list, you can add those in here. You can literally highlight something if you like, make it bolder, check things off as you kind of get them done. Add numbered lists if you'd want. Have bullet lists in these places. You can link a different site if you'd want. So I can add figma.com over here and I'll directly be able to go to Figma now, click on this link. It'll take me over to the Figma site where I'm kind of doing this in real time. Cards make anything concrete, and this is exactly why they're my favorite tool. They tell you what's going on. They tell you the concrete plans after you're done sketching things out. Because when you solidify an idea into a card, now we have this concrete thing that project managers can look at, that you can look at on your own and think about things, what's actually structural, what's actually going to take place, what's actually going to go ahead and happen now. You can add code blocks with syntax highlighting, and if you are a programmer, this is going to be extremely useful. I've got a new code channel coming up really soon. If you haven't subscribed to Veera Srivastava Codes, link in the description, go subscribe right now. We've got an HTML for UI UX designers video coming out there really soon. If you have some code to write, you can just do that. So for example, if I wanted to have any basic code detail, I could add that here, and it would even highlight the right code words inside of the code syntax. So for example, if I want to write an API query right here, I could do that as a code block, and this API query would basically be able to be copied to my actual code wherever it is present. And what this API is going to do is, this API is going to be a collection of all of the different dogs that are present inside of our database, dog 1, dog 2, dog 3, dog 4, and all of the other dogs that we've got. This API query is going to run on its own, and this is going to be the first dog that it fetches. When the user swipes in another direction, this is going to be the second dog. The first dog is kind of going to go away to the right. This is going to be the third dog that comes up when the user is kind of clicking, and this is going to be the very specific code that we're using because of this specific API that we're internally handling and all of the fancy stuff. So if you've got anything specific related to code and you need to write it out, you can do that with Miro. Again, I don't want to make this a code video. Don't want to overwhelm the UI designers. This is a video for UI designers, you guys. You can even add a flip card, a double-sided card to reveal content. And it's similar to the first card that we made, but it's kind of double-sided, so it's better. You can add frames, you can add grids, you can add notes, you can add different people, team members to your canvas, a bunch of sticky notes using a sticky stack. And these are all of the different fun little tools that Miro lets you use. And I highly encourage you check all of these out because you can undo or redo anything that you've been doing. So right now, this is the last place we worked at, and it's letting us undo and redo all of the different things that we were working with. This is our basic workflow for the Tinder for dogs, and I can literally take this screen with me. Just select this, literally take this screen with me. I've exported this as an image already, exported this as an image. You can even export this as a PDF if you'd like. I've just done it as an image for now, and I'll take it into Figma and get started designing when I need to. These are the basic tools You can even use a precision eraser if you need to erase really precise things instead of erasing a whole thing. And that was the kind of tiny little detail that I wanted to talk about in the middle of that. But you get the point. These are the basic main tools out of Miro. This is the main menu. You can create a different board, duplicate this board, export this board as a PDF, as an image, as a template, move it to a different user's space, star this board, delete it, change the background color to a plain white or a light gray or a dark, if you're interested in like dark mode kind of themes. You can do a start view. So for example, you're going to be able to see the start view for the newly invited members. What's the first view these viewers are going to look at? So if a newly invited member is coming in, they're only going to be able to see this first view in the very beginning as a thumbnail, and this is going to be my start view for completely new beginners so that they can kind of get introduced to the project faster. You can undo, redo, find comments and stuff, just the most basic stuff in here. You can view a grid in the background if you want to, a line grid, a dot grid. You can snap objects to a grid. So for example, anything that I move around, it's automatically going to snap to the next nearest pixel if I want. I don't want that right now, so I'm just going to turn it off. Show collaborators cursors. If you've got other people, you can kind of see their cursors. You can see the comments on this board, see the scroll bars that are present at the bottom and at the left. You can have object dimensions on if you want to, and undo redo controls are also kind of visible and invisible using this button. You can enter full screen. We're already in full screen, so we don't need to do that. It even lets you decide whether you're on a mouse or a trackpad, and right now it lets you auto detect. So for example, I have a trackpad right now, which is exactly why it's detecting it. If I force it to be on mouse, it's going to be giving me a simple little tutorial on how to do it with a mouse, and that makes my whole life easier as a mouse user. But I just want to go back to my trackpad because we all love a trackpad, and it auto detects whether we're on a mouse or a trackpad now. Let's go to a trackpad. You can reduce motion if you're sensitive to motion and seizure, and if you've got a seizure risk kind of going for you, and if you've got the risk of seizures and stuff. Miro even has an accessibility checker. So for example, if this was the thing that I was directly exporting, if this was my final draft, my prototype, it would tell me that the colors here, the things here aren't really accessible for every single person, and it's going to tell us the critical issues for accessibility, and these images are from the draft. So for example, right now, this is a rough draft, not all images and things are accessible, and it would tell us all of those issues really easily. So this is giving us all of the different problems that we have, even inside of its own template. Whatever accessibilities are there for low visibility, moderate visibility, problems, things like that, it lets you find out immediately. Again, these are the basic tools kind of present over here. You can send it to a different interactive display, this whole board in its own. Let's talk about the tools present right here. These are the felicitation tools. You can choose to love something and you can just react to it. So if someone else is doing this, I can react to whatever is going on, say hi, say hello, and it's going to show up right here as instant feedback. You can add a timer if you want to. You can add voting if you want to. You can even add private mode for specific private use cases if you would like, and you can add notes if you'd like. So you can add a whole entire meeting agenda while we're doing this on the side, just so all of these users can reconvene inside of this meeting. I feel like this is the best tool in the whole wide world, especially if you've got a whole team working with you, because it lets you be really together while you're thinking about things and talk about meetings and all of the different things that you need to do with that. You can go to the activity board and find all of the comments. So for example, if I'm the designer and I've got the entire team commenting on all of the different things they think I can improve right now, I can just find all of them at once, resolve them one by one. Once it's done, I can click on resolve and the whole thing gets resolved on its own. And this lets me jump to each of the different comments and resolve them quickly right here. You can even record a talk track or start a call inside of Miro, which blows my mind. I would absolutely record a talk track right now, but right now I'm just recording this video for you guys to watch, so I'm pretty sure this is going to mess with that recording. But if you're designing on your own and you need to explain something to a team, you need to send them a video, you can record a screen recording with a voiceover. You can even watch your recordings, whatever recordings that have already been done. You can start a live video call here, which is awesome to me. Like every design tool you could ever think about, every thinking tool you could ever think about is inside of Miro. This is the perfect thinking tool to use if you've got massive projects, if you need to be managing them with a team, or even as a solo designer. It just lets you take all of the load of thinking off of your shoulders and get really quickly started with the different flows. If you've got a bunch of screens, all of these arrows are really simple to work with. It lets you create prototypes inside of Miro, and the prototypes and the arrows work really similarly to Figma. And it lets you do a massive ton of thinking as a designer right off the bat, even before you get into all of the different complexities that are associated with visual UI design. When a comment resolves, it gives you this check mark that tells you everything has been resolved, it's all good. You can share this with your team if you'd like. Give your board a title. Let's give this a title. Tinder for dogs. Save it, and now it's going to give me a share link which I can copy and change the user access, so who can view, who can comment, who can access. I can copy this link, share it with my team, embed it inside of a different site with my embed code. I can even publish this as a Miroverse template or a custom template if I want to. Personally, I'm going to publish this template now. You can publish this as a template if you need to. You can look at all of your frames right here. So these are the main frames or the screens that you might want to export, take out. You can look at all of them at once, present directly right here at the bottom. You can zoom in or out quickly using the buttons here. You can even choose a number to kind of zoom in and out. You can press the M key, and it's going to show you the min map of where you are versus how huge the board actually is, so you can quickly get really accessible right here using your mouse too. And this is the coolest tool to me. Figma hasn't actually done this yet, and I'm waiting for the day Figma actually makes this happen. The ability to see what's going on really quickly right here from this tiny little bar, and be able to see everything that's happening on the canvas at once. You can even access help and resources, the learning center from Miro's team, and just lets you see everything that's going on right here immediately. I want to hide the min map now. This has been the world's easiest Miro crash course. You can even share this file if you want to. Save this as a PDF, save this as a board template. If you want to get started thinking before you start your designs for any UI UX design project, Miro is the perfect tool to start. It lets you get started with things super duper quickly. If you guys want to see me turn this simple frame into an actual Tinder for dogs, you're going to type out TURN, turn in the comments, and I will make that video happen as well. So we'll just take this frame, turn it into an actual Tinder for dogs inside of Figma. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Also, go check out the playlist right here to see more of these easy crash courses if you're just getting started with UI UX design. Alright, love you, bye.